Hey, I'm Jody Dyer, founder and CEO of Crippled Eagle Publishing for Green Mountain Media. And I'm going to give you a short tutorial on how to write without fear and with specificity. That's a hard word to say. So let's get started. Wait, I got to share my screen. Now we get started. Okay. One of my favorite parts of my jobs, I have multiple jobs, is teaching people to be better writers. And this is something that I cover in almost every workshop I lead. We really want to nurture literary talent, not just work out a bunch of content. So if you have a book idea and you've seen this video and you need a little more help, please reach out. Okay. So what's stopping you from writing what you really want to say? Maybe stop right now and jot down a few issues. I'll tell you what I've seen. People don't struggle to write because they lack the ability or even the motivation. They struggle because they believe things that are not true. They worry about these mythical threats, and we're going to go over. We can call them limiting beliefs, writer's threats. Here's an example. I'm not a real writer. Okay. If you look at, show you, you look at my bookshelves back here, there's this one right here. Laurie Byrne was a professional journal. Oh my, was a professional journalist. And Sandra, I don't know where her book is. Sandra Plant. She's somewhere. I've moved all these around so many times. She's a writing teacher and a professional public relations person, retired. But she still teaches writing at her church in Nashville. But anyway, of all the hundreds of books I've published and hundreds of authors I've helped, none were writers professionally when they came to me. So if you're watching this video and you're working on a book and you're telling yourself, I'm not really a writer. Yeah, you are. Let me share my screen again. I'm always afraid of forgetting to share the screen. Okay. So here's what's behind that. The belief that writer is a title someone earns before he or she begins. Truth time. I am a publisher, a published author, lots of books under my belt. I have a finance degree. I was a banker, then a teacher, then a writer, then a publisher, and I think I'm pretty good at all of them. And I know that you can be, because if you're not, we'll help you. But the trick to being a good writer is being specific and fearless. So the new belief I want you to adopt is I am a writer because I write. Guess what? Age is irrelevant. A lot of my clients are in their 70s and 80s, and several even in their 90s. And the youngest was 11, published his book, and the oldest was 96. So there you go. Here's another limiting belief. There are already books on this topic. What can I add? Well, maybe a new spin, maybe a different take, maybe a few more details, maybe a change in location or dynamics. That's a misunderstanding. And people sometimes erroneously think that originality means new information. Okay. There's no new recipe. Beef stew is beef stew, but there are books of beef stew recipes, right? Think about sushi. Think about just soup. So this is what I want you to adopt. Originality is a new voice, not new information. Your take on something is uniquely yours, nobody else's. Another limiting belief is I need more research, more learning, or more credentials before I start. This is true of entrepreneurship, but especially when it comes to writing. Imposter syndrome gets in the way of so much progress and success. Here's my advice. If you feel like an imposter, earn your way out of that feeling and do the thing. So if I'm an imposter at a weightlifting gym, like at the health club, the best way for me to gut check it and not feel like an imposter is to, guess what? Lift weights, walk around, get used to the environment, hire somebody to help me, ask a buddy to show me how to use the machines, whatever it takes. But your place in the process of becoming an author is your place. That's where you belong. You're not an imposter unless you lie and say, hey, I ghost wrote all of Stephen King's novels. If you're a beginner, you're a beginner. Own it. That's fine. If you're learning, you're learning. That's great. Learn. If you're at the gym, lift weights. You'll feel like a weightlifter eventually. So perfectionism is often disguised as preparation. And wow, will it cause you to procrastinate? Perfectionism will keep you from growing. It'll keep you from finishing, and it'll keep you frustrated. So just write your beep first draft and don't worry about it. Everything's fixable. So the new belief you need to adopt is I will learn by writing, not before I write. So I will learn doing the actual thing. Okay. I learn how to use an air fryer by making something in the air fryer, not Googling air fryers. Limiting belief. And oh, wait, on this one. Have you ever thought, this task, this project, this assembly of this children's toy is impossible? Like, nobody can figure this out. Who does this? Who can help me? Because I can't do this. And then, not long later, maybe a week, maybe a month, maybe a year, you're teaching somebody else and you're thinking, why is this so hard? I mean, I learned that if I tried to put a child's toy or baby furniture together at night, that it was not going to be successful. But if I waited till the morning after I'd rested, I could actually assemble all kinds of things, maybe the whole room. Perfectionism is not preparation, it is procrastination. Okay. You learn by doing, and clarity comes from action. Action creates clarity, and the clarity creates confidence. I say that all the time. I heard it from somebody, I don't know where, but it's truth. All right. What will people think if they read this? What will they think? Well, first they'll think, wow, you wrote a book. That's amazing. I'm proud of you. I hear that more than anything. What's really behind this fear? Because people are worried, oh my gosh, what's my mother going to say? What are my neighbors going to think? They're not, some people aren't really thinking about you at all. I had a client who was all stressed because he said, my neighbor's not even trying to help me sell this book. And I said, did you know that she makes custom jewelry out of metal and leather? And she sells it, and it's beautiful. And she's trying to be successful and launch her business. And he said, no. Does she really? And I said, well, you should be helping her, neighbor. Well, I didn't even know. I said, well, I made that up. But I made the story up and he got it. He's like, oh my gosh, you're right. This is my project, my creative outlet. This is my personal goal. Not everybody's going to be thinking about it like we believe they are. We fear being seen and fear being vulnerable, especially if we're writing about our own lives. But here's the thing, the more specific you are, the more vulnerable you are, the more trust you build with readers, and the stronger your writing is. So get seen and get vulnerable. My friend Doug says, be visceral, but not gross. Get down to the raw dog emotions. The new belief to adopt in a more professional tone is you cannot be judged for a book you never write. Silence is the real exposure. I say this all the time, and I may say it 3 more times in this video. But of all the people with books floating around in their heads, only 1% ever write them. 1%. You could be in the 99th percentile of writers if all you do is write the book. So ditch these limiting beliefs. And the way you do that is to adopt the new beliefs and use them as affirmations over and over and over. I actually have, oh, where is it? Maybe the affirmation cards for writers. If you want one, let me know. Send it to you. Two sides, different things you can say. I am a writer because I write. Progress beats perfection, and I'll make progress today. Progress. I'm not going to publish something that's going to get some kind of literary prize by Tuesday, but I'm going to make progress. Yay. Okay, here's another one. My life is too busy to write a book. I will have you know that I have evidence on this wall, and personally, I wrote this book when I was student teaching. I was old. I had a baby and an 8-year-old. No, a toddler and a 12-year-old who played travel ball, travel baseball, and travel basketball. I was student teaching in a new career, getting my master's degree, and I wrote that book in the mornings from 5 a.m. to 5:30 for 9 months, and I wrote a book. In the time that it takes someone to have a baby, I wrote a book. So my life was busy, still is, and I write all the time. You can do it. The assumption is that writing requires these trips to cabins in Canada on lakes. You also have to fall in love by Thursday before the movie ends. Not required, okay? 15 minutes a day will get you a lot farther than you can possibly imagine. Let's do the math. Let me get my calculator. 15 times 5. Let's say you take 4 weeks vacation, 48. That's, whoa, wait a minute. 15 minutes times 5 days a week. That's 75 minutes divided by 60. Whoops. 75 divided by 60 equals 1.25. I don't trust my math on camera. Okay. That's an hour and 20, that's an hour and 15 minutes a week times, let's say 48 weeks. That's 60 hours. You can write a lot in 60 hours. Here's my trick. If I just have a little bit of time to work on something, I will get what I can get finished. And then at the bottom, wherever I stop, I'm like, Jody, you stopped right here on this day and this time. And then I'll say, this is what you need to do next, self. And then I give myself an on-ramp to jump right back in so I don't lose momentum. Because what you don't want to do is go back to the top of the document, or God forbid, page 1, and go like, where was I? Because then what happens? You start self-editing, beating yourself up. We don't want to do that. Just keep writing the beep first draft. Write it, okay? You don't need large, uninterrupted blocks of time. Books are written in small, consistent increments because it can be taxing, right? So do what you can do consistently and don't beat yourself up. Maybe set what my business coach friend Daniel Woodrum says. He's like, use the minimal effective dose. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, write for 15, 30 minutes. That's it. Okay. Limiting belief. I need a perfect plan or outline before I begin. Okay. Keyword there is perfect. You do need a plan and you do need an outline, but they might change because the action creates clarity. You may think this character is going to fall in love on Thursday, and guess what? Nope. Decides to move to Tahiti and says, sorry, buddy, not interested. Who knows? As you write, these decisions become clearer and your outline may change, but you do need something written down. What an outline does for most people, it gives them confidence. They can see the end and they can see the messy middle because they have a framework. They're like, aha, chop, 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 chop. I'll get it all chopped up and cooked. It's going to be great. So what's behind this limiting belief is that clarity comes first before action, and that's opposite. Just like if you want to be the kind of person who has certain outcomes, you need to be that kind of person now in order to get those outcomes. You're not going to be rich acting poor and making poor decisions and doing things that someone who will stay poor would do. Think about that. You're not going to get rich or get fit thinking about how fit you'll be when you get fit. You gotta, what do people who are fit do? They exercise every 3 or 4 days a week or every day. So you gotta be that person first, no matter how much you weigh or how out of shape you are. You'll have the outcome. The new belief to adopt: clarity comes from writing messy first words. I watched the cute rom-com. Mm, shoot. I think it's called Set It Up. And the female character she worked at a sports writer's office and wanted to write an article and had never written anything because she was using all these excuses. I mean, all these excuses. This is perfect timing. And finally, her roommate said, "Why are you trying to write something perfect? Just write a terrible, bad word, write the SH article and then fix it." She's like, "That's all you have to do right now is just write the yucky one and then go back and fix it." And that is what cured her problem. Okay. Here's another one. I'm a procrastinator. Don't identify as something negative. Instead, say, I'm the person who finishes what she starts. I'm a procrastinator. I never finish things. That's that's a sad belief, but it can be reversed. The belief that people who say that are having is that writing is a discipline problem and not a structure problem. All you really need is a plan and structure, and the minimal effective dose will work. The new belief is writers don't rely on discipline. They rely on systems. So, what's his name? James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, great book, says, I'm going to get as close as I can. I'm not looking at the quote, but you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So while your goal might be to write an 80,000 word fiction novel, if your system is, I'll try to do it on Saturdays, you're not going to do it. If your system is, I'm going to write and not even like the outcome of the day. Think every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to sit at my desk with coffee, with my laptop, and do whatever I can do for 30 minutes toward the end goal of this book. That's it, 30 minutes. Okay. So you can say, I'm the type of person who finishes what she starts. Another limiting belief: nothing extraordinary has happened to me. So I meet, oh my gosh, at least a dozen people a year who say, I really want to write about my life, but I don't think I'm that interesting. Like, well, if you feel compelled to write, there's a reason. Sometimes God is calling you to do this. Sometimes your family wants to know all about you. And you have a moral imperative to share your gifts with the world. If you have a story that could encourage, inspire, help, cure, motivate, cheer up someone, entertain, you have a moral imperative to share it. So don't confuse fame with impact. I love memoirs by ordinary people. I mean, there are plenty of books by famous famous people, and they're interesting too. But I like to dig into the ordinary lives. I think they can be incredibly inspiring. New belief to adopt is readers are drawn to relatable people, not extraordinary ones. I bet if you were to look at this year's bestsellers in memoir or autobiography, obviously you're going to have the famous people, but you're also going to have people who have the guts to share the visceral details and write without fear. Wish I'd thought to look that up, but you can do that. Okay, here's another one. Writing a book feels like a huge commitment. What's really behind it? Seeing the book as a mountain instead of the next step. You don't start by committing to a book. You start by committing to a paragraph, or heck, even a sentence, or just a brain dump. So I have something called the anxiety-free writing process. And if you'd like a copy, let me know. You can email me at dyer, dyer.cbpublishing@gmail.com, or Jody at crippledbeaglepublishing. No, dyer.cbpublishing@gmail.com, and then or Jody at crippledbeaglepublishing.com. Either way, Tell me you want the anxiety-free writing process. It's really cool. It's just a few sheets, but I'll walk you through, I think, 20 steps that'll get you from idea to a lot. Idea to a lot, I promise. Limiting belief. If it's not good, I shouldn't write it. How do you know? Sometimes, gosh, I wrote a book and gave it to the editor, and she said, "Oh my gosh, you need more of this funny stuff. You're so funny. I didn't know you were a humorist." And I said, "Neither did I." You don't know. People just be you, okay? Everywhere you go and on paper. What's behind this is that people don't understand how first drafts work. They think, oh, I'm going to write this book and then it's going to be edited and I'm good to go. But sometimes books need multiple passes just by the author, then maybe a beta reader or beta reader group, then back to the author, then a content editor. Who knows? If you're confused about editing, let me know. I can give you some guidance there. But it's usually just they misunderstand the work involved, and the main work is writing that first draft. And again, it doesn't have to be good. Look at what Ernest Hemingway said. I put a heart over the bad word. He said the first draft of anything is so. Anne Lamott gets a lot of credit for calling it the SH beep first draft, but he said it too. And I'd say any writer who's ever written anything completely has written the beep first draft. I know I have. Even emails, sometimes I think, oh my gosh, what is that? So, first drafts are supposed to be imperfect. I'm I'm curious. Gosh, I read this about some famous author that he wrote something 27 times. You don't have to do that, but if you do, don't beat yourself up. Some publishing houses say they require anywhere from 6 to 12 revision rounds. We don't do that because we try to get ahead of the pain. But either way, sometimes the revision part can be incredibly fun because you've got the pressure off. And now you can fine tune, you can use the right type of characterization. You can go back and make sure you're showing, not telling. You can bring in literary devices. You can add a lot of finesse to the content without having to start from zero. Okay. Most people don't struggle to write because they lack ability. They struggle because they believe things that are not true. So change your beliefs, and writing will not only be possible, but a lot more joyful. Okay. So I've got a couple of little bonus slides in here about knowing your reader. And I think when you do this, it helps you make every decision from start to finish, all the way into marketing and promoting your work. But it also can keep you motivated and thinking about somebody else, not yourself, and maybe ditch these limiting beliefs and replace them with more hopeful affirmations and attitudes toward your writing. Okay. So know who your reader is. Who is the book for specifically? What stage of life is this person in? What is happening in this reader's world right now? You may want to pause here and just jot that down. Think about this for a week or two. What problem, question, or tension brings this reader to your book? Like, why would somebody pick up your book? Okay. All right. And what does this reader hope the book will help him learn, feel, or do? That should be him or her. Sorry for the typo. This reader, reading her own work, says you need to proofread. So, what does this reader hope the book will help him learn, feel, or do? If you hold back, you're not helping the reader. I like to do this with everybody I work with because this is also part of an elevator speech. You can use this because it helps people identify, oh, I know somebody who would love your book. So this book is written for, she might be struggling with blah, 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 comma, comma. And through the ideas, stories, and guidance in this book, she will learn how to whatever, fill in the blanks. Okay. If you try to offend no one, you will move no one. You'll just be bleh, or is it meh? Specific writing creates connection And vague writing creates distance. So, what does he even mean? Or, I can't believe she said that. Yes, thank you. Thank you, writer, for saying what I've always thought. Or, I've lost interest. Who do you want to be? Okay. Here are some examples of writing with specificity. Get fearless. So think about your reader. What does that reader want to know? What problem are you solving? Boring. I had a hard childhood and school was difficult for me. I often felt misunderstood and lonely. Okay. Relatable, but not exciting. In fifth grade, here's the after. More specific, more visceral. In fifth grade, I sat in the third desk from the back. Also, we're incorporating show, not tell. We're seeing this child. Traced the cracks in the linoleum and kept my head down so the teacher called on everyone except me. You have a little emotional reaction? That's good. Here's another one. The divorce made me angry and I felt betrayed and hurt. After his email read, "Let's keep things amicable." I slammed my laptop so hard the screen burst. Try it. So rewrite these sentences. I think I have examples in here, but give it a shot. Like pause right now and rewrite these sentences and then hit play and I'll show you mine. If I wrote them, I think I did. I was really upset. She made me sad. I was tired. I was so very tired always. Another little tip while we're talking about it, or while I think of it, is dead words. Get rid of them. Google dead words, make a list, and then find them after you write the first draft. Find the dead words, take them out. Okay. Here we go. So I was really upset. I chewed every acrylic fingernail off until my fingertips throbbed. She made me sad. After she walked out of the restaurant, I spoke into the GPT app on my phone. How do I get my wife back? So dialogue is another great way to characterize people and evoke emotion and be specific. I was tired. I got out of the car, limped into the living room, and dropped my arms as 50 pounds of, little hyperbole there, 50 pounds of diaper bag, purse, and briefcase slid to the floor. That's a true life event. Okay. Oh, the affirmations are in here. So if you, but if you want the card, let me know. But you can just take a screenshot here. These are affirmations to change your thought patterns. I'm a writer because I write. Progress beats perfection, and I'll make progress today. I can write poorly and still move forward. Revision is part of the process. I tell myself certain affirmations all the time because I'm trying to erase limiting beliefs and replace them with things that are going to serve me. Like, I finish what I start, I do it now. I'm the type of person who doesn't skip exercise no matter what else is going on in life, within reason. I eat healthy because I'm happier when I do. Muscle makes money. My mood is better when I lift weights. Like I tell myself all these things. I'm the type of person who writes every day. I'm the type of person who doesn't work on Sundays, that kind of thing. So you can tweak these, make them your own, but make sure they're positive and encouraging. And they speak to the person you're trying to become because as you behave like him or her, you will become him or her. My voice is unique and important. Absolutely. I believe it enough for both of us. Okay. I'm allowed to take my time and still finish this book. Yes. Creativity needs a plan, consistency, but it doesn't need to be rushed because sometimes the best ideas come when you're walking around outside with nothing to write anything down with. Resistance means I'm doing meaningful work. So some people will say that the bad juju will get all involved when you're trying to do something good. I've worked on a lot of Christian projects, and it's amazing to watch what challenges come up and how we overcome them. You never know. So one page, one paragraph, or one sentence will move the book forward. Move the football down the field. I get first downs. I trust myself to return to this work. This book does not need to be perfect to be valuable and professional. That's huge. Plus, you can always come back and fix it. I finish what I start. My words have a place in the world, and this book deserves to exist. Amen. Okay, that's it. Write with specificity and without fear. Reach out to me if you'd like another tool like this one. I have, oh my goodness, a whole bunch of articles, videos, guides, checklists, tip sheets, no matter where you are in the process, writing, editing, publishing, marketing, or promoting. I've probably got something that'll help you. So just email me, and that's it. Happy writing. Be fearless.